Yo, what's happening guys, King GBL here, and welcome back to a brand new Go Battle League video. Guys, today we're going to be showcasing some of the first action from Season 18. Over the coming weeks, I'm going to be showcasing a lot of the newly buffed Pokemon. Today I'm going to be showcasing Goodra. I think this Pokemon is super interesting in the Great League, and it was one of the most exciting ones for me to try out. The reason I find this Pokemon quite interesting is because it has grass knot coverage, and of course in the new season update, Aqua Tail got buffed. Aqua Tail is doing a little bit extra damage, and of course it is a much better move than Muddy Water, so Goodra is looking like one of the best dragons in the Great League, and today we're going to showcase it and see what it can do. Now we're going to hop into the battles. Before we do guys, if you have been enjoying the videos for some time here, please subscribe, it is absolutely free. Around 65% of you who watch quite often here are not yet subscribed. Last season I hit leaderboards and showcased a lot of really strong teams, so by all means thank you very much for subbing, and let's hop on into the battles. Now as you guys can see, the opponent counter swapped a Poliwrath. This is what I'm talking about. I actually said Grass Knot, which is a Power Whip clone anyway, I'm pretty sure, so that's perfectly fine. We're going to go for the Power Whip on the Poliwrath. This grass coverage is just absolutely huge. We farm up to 1 before the opponent reaches the move, and we're going to look to fire this off. Now what the opponent done in the early part of this battle is basically Brave Birded the Registeel. Now the problem is we're running a double dragon team. The problem with teams like this is it basically gives your opponent just huge license to overfarm against your dragons, and as you can see from my Registeel in the bottom right, it's actually not looking too healthy anymore. That Brave Bird definitely chunked it, and the opponent's done a pretty good job so far here. We got off a dying Aqua Tail, but unfortunately they're just not on lock-on down range. I have to shield a move if I want to bring in Dragonair, so I'm basically forced to bring in Registeel, and as you can see, Brave Bird number 2 coming in, that gets us down to the DBLO. One more Brave Bird and we're going to die. Now the opponent comes into a Lickitung. What I decide to do here is go for a Zap Cannon, go for a debuff, and I think I do make a mistake here. What I should do is probably try to stay in for a little bit longer. I do end up catching the move on Dragonair. What I actually really needed to do here is perhaps like catch a second move on Dragonair and then look to do with it that way, or like even try to eat a Body Slam. I think definitely I made some sort of a mistake here, but the opponent I think just played this match quite well. They're going to go for Body Slam on the Dnair, and that basically forces the shield or the knockout. I'm going to try to get off 2 Body Slams, but I think the opponent's just got a few licks ahead. So unfortunately, we'll only make this one last Body Slam, and the Lickitung is not really in farm down range for the Registeel. So I'm going to be forced to throw a move on both Licky and the Skarmory. So even though the opponent was super weak to this, the opponent played it well, and perhaps the way I could have played this game better would have been to just come into Goodra and not throw the energy. Had I just done that, I would have had a Zap Cannon banked, and that might have been a little bit better. By the way guys, the microphone might sound a little bit different to the intro. I've been messing around with my software here. We did lose our first match of the season. I actually lost my first match last season as well, funny enough. We lose the first match, but we can see the potential of Goodra. There are a lot of Pokemon that are weak to grass, and having a dragon with grass coverage is very unique in my opinion. In this next match, we have an amazing leading Cresselia. The opponent's in confusion. I might be throwing on potato timing here. I was doing a live stream on YouTube. I want to say a big thank you to Daryl and Jason, who gifted 50 and 20 memberships. Absolutely insane. Big thank you to you guys. And of course, big thank you to all of our members and channel supporters here. Guys, the opponent's staying in with the Cresselia. I'm not too sure why. If I had to guess, the reason would be that they're probably double weak to this Pokemon. So I'm pretty much ready to swap out at this point. But the opponent actually does the job for me at some point. I think they actually do go for a swap here eventually. The opponent goes for a Catch and Lantern. We'll bring in Goodra at this point. Now we're up a shield, and as you guys seen, we do have the coverage. So, you know, the funny thing about this is, the buff to Goodra was Aqua Tail, but it's actually the Power Whip that's the key thing here. Having Aqua Tail as a secondary move, which deals a decent amount of damage and has decent energy efficiency, that is great for Goodra, but it really is the Power Whip that's the headline for this Pokemon. That is the key thing that makes Goodra quite strong in this meta. The opponent brings back in Skarmory, and as you're seeing here, you know, Dragon Breaths do chip, and the Aqua Tails do add up. We're farming it, but the opponent will commit to the entire farm down. Now the difference between this match and last time is that we haven't invested any shields yet, and the opponent is double weak to Reggie. The opponent actually goes for a shield there, which of course is not really the correct play. We have a Zap Cannon loaded, we're going to look to one-shot, and yeah, that's basically curtains for the opponent. So we've seen there that Goodra is quite a nice counter swap to things like Lantern, things like Poliwrath, and again, that's why I do think it has some potential. If I was to make a different team, I don't think I would necessarily run it with a Double Dragon team. I just don't really think those are good teams, but I just wanted to use something that's kind of a little bit fun for the new season. In comes Fickersby, very negative lead for Registeel, because as you're going to see here, 2 of these Scorching Sands will basically KO the Reggie, right? Not quite, but they will be able to mudshot down. And one of these Focus Blasts, they also do not kill the Diggersby. We come into Dnair at this point, the opponent swaps out into a Mantine. This is giving me a good chance. The opponent actually threw the move immediately, probably expecting me to go straight for Body Slam. I'm happy enough to let an earliest go, because at this point, we'll get off this next Body Slam before they reach the next move, and if the opponent shields, we'll have another one ready to go basically. Yep, we're going to basically go for 1 and 4 for good timing. This will look to take out the Mantine. Guys, Mantine or Mantine, let me know in the comments down below. And the opponent comes into a Slowbro of all things. Now, I'm thinking, in the 2 shields, this might be a little bit tricky for Goodra. because confusions will add up. So we're going to come into the Registeel at this point. The opponent will get off a move. I'm happy enough to start trading shields, because I basically want to get this into a range where I can go for a power whip. The opponent goes for Snipe of Diggersby. I decide this energy will be probably quite useful, and we're going to come into Goodra at this stage. We're going to farm this the whole way down. The opponent unfortunately does get a dying move. I was praying and hoping for a Fire Punch, but it is a Scorching Sands, and we don't get the debuff. Goodra tanked that fairly well, and in comes the Slowbro. True to its name, it is quite slow to moves, and I decide I'm going to YOLO the Power Whip. The opponent has to make a call here. Boom, Power Whip, takes it out. The opponent decides that their win con in this matchup is probably to call a bait. If the opponent does not call a bait, there is a chance I may get off 2 moves with Reggie, and in the first set of today, we did go positive. So hopping into the next set, guys, we're playing Mr. Duck here, Registeel versus Vigoroth. I believe Registeel wins the 0s and 1s, so I'm happy to stay in here for a little while at least. The opponent is going to look to go for Body Slam, and I think the opponent actually ends up making a very good call here. We're going to go straight for this Zap Cannon. If they throw a move, you'll basically get the Zap Cannon off in good timing automatically. The opponent makes a great call, decides to no shield, and we'll come into Dragonair for the safe swap. The opponent's going to go for Body Slam. We did debuff their defense here, or their attack, sorry, so this Body Slam won't hurt too much, and we can look to no shield. In comes Umbreon. So the opponent's already sort of ABA weak to counter. Very interesting team, but this is looking very, very good for Registeel. Body Slam, that's going to do quite a decent amount of damage to the Umbreon, and I'm going to fire off this move immediately here. Body Slam number 2, this will either get them very low or get the shield. I wasn't really expecting the opponent to shield. Knowing that I have a Registeel, I thought that was quite an interesting shield. I'm happy enough to let Dragonair go at this point, and we're going to look to come into the Goodra to go for shield once and farm down. I think Dark Pulse Umbreon is quite an interesting moveset there, because it does do that extra damage and it can make Umbreon just a little bit more deadly. Now, I realise the opponent's going to get to a move, but we're going to eat the damage on the tin can. Goodra has respectable bulk, but we're not going to try and eat too many moves on it, and in comes the Swampert. Now guys, at this point, all we need to do is let this through. The opponent goes straight for a Hydro Cannon, I'm perfectly happy with that. The opponent does not want me to get off the move, and I'm going to go straight for double Power Whip. Now what I noticed in this matchup here is that by the time you farm them down, you don't necessarily even need to go for Power Whip. Look at the Dragon Breaths absolutely chunk this thing. I definitely could have just went for the Aqua Tails here, but this is perfectly fine. I know I'm going to basically outpace. The opponent is trying to commit to the Earthquake, but yeah, there's no way they can either get to an Earthquake or back-to-back moves. Power Whip taking them out, and of course the Umbreon was dry because we caught the move, so good games well played. And as soon as I seen that Swampert man, like, I was just ready for it. Once again, that Power Whip coverage coming in clutch. Dragonair lead is quite awkward actually, because it can win the 2 shield against Reggie, I think. If you don't get debuffs, they actually can win the 2s. So what I decide to do here is basically go for that and then snipe them with the Dragon Breath. GG, and thanks for playing. Guys, like I said, I'm showcasing all of my battles today. We definitely enjoyed that while we were streaming. A lot of Reggies do like to go for Zap Cannon in that situation. Now in comes a Bastiodon lead, very, very interesting one. And in comes the Giraffe of Death, the Demon Giraffe, as it's well known around here. We are not Giraffe fans on this channel. What I'm going to decide to do here is stay in for a minute, try to get a debuff. And yeah, they've of course went for the Psychic Fangs debuff. But I think I will end up respecting the Thunderbolt. Look at these confusions add up. I think I end up CMPing the opponent here, unfortunately. My timing was definitely a little bit less optimal today. We're going to go for a Zap Cannon, and at that point I think we'll go into the Dragonair. The opponent lets it through, so I'm perfectly happy with that. Now I'm thinking there's going to be a Grass type in the back, so we're going to swap it into one of our Dragons. I decided to go into Goodra here, because I basically wanted to see what it's able to do against Bastiodon. As you can see here, the Smackdowns are chipping away. I don't have very good IVs on Goodra. The Smackdowns are chipping away, but we're actually chipping away with the Aqua Tails and the Dragon Breaths. So like Goodra is able to put up a fight here. Now the smartest play possible would be to no shield and come into Registeel, but of course I wanted to showcase Goodra, and I wanted to see what it was capable of here. In the one shield scenario, can you force a shield off Bastiodon? By the looks of things, if they don't shield this, I actually might be able to farm them the whole way down. So yeah, we can actually force a shield here, and we do end up trying to go for a catch, which is completely unnecessary at this point. And we do live a Flamethrower anyway, and the opponent will probably come into their Victory Bell. They get through 2 Razor Leafs, and we'll come into our Dragonair. We can basically just outpace this thing at this stage, and we resist the moves, and it takes them, I believe, 9 to get to the first Leaf Blade. So we're basically chilling here, we can outpace it, take it out, and I think we're going to look to go for a Body Slam BM on the Bastiodon. Good games well played. I really wanted to fight that battle out a little bit. Instead of playing correctly, I wanted to see what Goodra actually could do in that match. And like, it actually done pretty decently well. You definitely can tolerate some Smackdown damage, and the Aqua Tail spamminess is kind of nice. And we go into this, and the opponent meets us with an Azumarill. Now, I was trying to decide what to do in this matchup, because I believe this gets very close with an energy lead in the 2s, but I'm not sure if Switch really helps me that much. So I think what I might look to do is try to go for an energy advantage with the Registeel. What I need to do is come in and get a perfect Zap Cannon undercharge, come out with energy, and just start threatening shields. I think that's definitely the play for me here at this point. We're going to go for Zap Cannon. I think I charge it up to a great. I definitely needed to go for like a nice right here, because that definitely is a little bit too much, unfortunately. We're kind of screwed now. In comes Charjabug. The match against Charjabug is not absolutely horrible, but it's not exactly a positive matchup. I was basically planning to catch the next discharge, but the opponent comes into Ferrothorn for absolutely no reason. The opponent is absolutely horny for the Mirror Shot debuff for absolutely no reason, and we get this move off, and we're basically staying here, folks. Goodra can definitely deal with the Charjabug. I'm really not too sure what that was all about. They should have just set in against the Reggie. They resist all of the moves. I let the Power Whip go, it does chunk, and the unfortunate thing is they can start going for the Mirror Shots here at this stage. I start to realize that the Switch Clock will be coming back up quite soon. There has already been quite a lot of charge attacks thrown. I have to shield this move, and I have to make sure I don't throw the energy onto the Charjabug. Mirror Shot coming in, and the opponent is a back-to-back moves here. We're going to shield this up. We're going to look in the top right, expecting the opponent to go for an aggro swap. Yep, in comes the Charjabug, and back in comes Goodra. We're going to see how well Goodra can survive here. The opponent actually didn't end up throwing off a move. This Aqua Tail not going to quite KO, and what I actually realized that I need to do is not take this out. If the opponent farms me down, I'm in trouble. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop attacking right here. The opponent actually throws the move perfectly right here anyway, but this is where I was going to stop attacking to make sure that I can farm it down with Reggie and just basically immediately Focus Blast. If they got a farm down, that was basically curtains for me. Now, one other quite interesting thing that you could look to do with this Pokemon is run it with Sludge Wave. You know, of course, if you're counter swapping and the opponent meets you with an Azu, you know, you're going to have Power Whip anyway, so that's going to be kind of nice. But maybe Sludge Bomb could be interesting, or maybe the Azu would shield up that move anyway. So if you did want some extra coverage against, let's say, grass types or some other things like that, I can't remember if it's Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave, but that could be quite interesting for coverage, especially on things like Wigglytuff. That move obviously hits like a truck. Now the opponent counter swaps into a Registeel here. This is kind of awkward for my team. I don't really have a direct answer to Reggie apart from my own Registeel, and I just already know it's going to be Stunfisk in the back. Double Steel, very, very common team. Reggie safe swap, Stunfisk in the back. I don't really know what to do here, to be honest. Like thinking through this, maybe I should have swapped out a little bit sooner here, but I decide I want to try to get rid of this here. I'm going to just basically swap. Or maybe I should have just sacrificed my Reggie at this point, let them throw the move on Reggie, let them take it out, and then take the energy with Dragon Arm. At that point, I could have maybe like Aqua Tailed the Stunfisk. The opponent does not get the debuff, they do go for the Zap, and they come in with Venusaur. The problem was, they farmed up 9 Vine Whips before they left, so they're just absolutely loaded in energy here, and I do come into the Goodra at this point. I think again, I should come into the Registeel, because if they have Stunfisk in the back, the way that they beat you is by outpacing you. They come into Stunfisk. I definitely misplayed this game. I think I should have came in there with Reggie, went for an overfarm, just took the Frenzy Plants, and then looked to try and get off the Focus Blast. I do try to catch the move on Reggie. The opponent goes for a very nice overfarm. So yeah, this is kind of an awkward Pokemon for this team. Like a double Steel team for a double Dragon team is always going to be a little bit awkward, but I did have some win cons. As you're about to see here, this is going to actually chip the Stunfisk quite a lot, but unfortunately, they're just going to get to the Earthquake, and that's going to be curtains for me. Good games to the opponent. Definitely could have won that match if I had played it just a little bit differently, but the opponent definitely played quite well there. I think banking all of that energy with Venusaur just made that super awkward for me. Now we have a fantastic lead. Now we lost this lead last time, so we definitely need to play better. The opponent comes into a Medicham, and I'm going to look to stay in and go for a Zap Cannon. I want to try to guarantee swap if I can, and at this point we're going to come into the Dragon Arm. The opponent does shield, we do not get the debuff unfortunately, and I was calling that the opponent will go for Power Up Punch. The opponent actually does go for Ice Punch, doesn't one-shot the Dragon Arm, and we're going to look to get off a move. So this is still looking a little bit tricky here. That was a very risky and brave call that I made. I maybe could have just shielded up. I think what we have to try and do here is come in with Goodra, farm it down, and maybe look to try and sweep with Registeel. The opponent will go for an Ice Punch. I'm going to respect it this time. Hopefully it's not a puppet, it's an Ice Punch, and we're going to farm this the whole way down. The opponent aggressively swaps into their Skarmory. Guys, whenever you're in a situation like this, where you have the alignment that you want, you don't do this. They took alignment from me, and then they went for the aggro swap. Maybe getting a little bit antsy, not wanting me to farm them down, but now they're in a situation where I can basically go for a Focus Blast from this range, farm it the whole way down, come out with a move for Medicham, and then hopefully look to sweep with the Goodra. As you can see, that does about 50% or so to their health, and yeah, we're just going to come into lock on down. My thinking here is that Reggie's basically dead already with the Medicham in the back, so I might as well give them less farm, get off the energy, and just hope that Goodra can sweep in the back. We need something pretty decent for Goodra to win this match. We're going to swap straight into it. We've got a bunch of energy, and the opponent comes into a Jellicent. I farm up all the way up until I get to the Shadow Ball, and I am going to go for the Aqua Tail bait here. Now, as you guys are about to see, we're only one Dragon Breath off the Power Whip, so this came down to one Dragon Breath. Will the Shadow Ball KO? It does, unfortunately. I do wonder if I had a better one, would I have survived? Unfortunate there. Had I somehow gotten 2 more Dragon Breaths, one to get to the bait and the other one of course to CMP tie the Jellicent, I would have won that match. Good games to the opponent there. And that's going to be it for the Goodra battles for today. I'm going to be showcasing a lot more battles this week with lots of different teams, so these videos are a little bit shorter than usual. I normally upload 25-30 minute videos, so stay tuned for the sort of bigger uploads of the more meta teams coming into the season. But thank you very much everybody for watching, hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, and feel free to join our Discord community in the description down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon for another video.